Into Wide Open Spaces, and today live in the studio, the front man from a great band out of San Antonio called Glam Billy. They just put out a new video, working on a new CD and a brand new Houston gig with the full band. He is in town for a solo show tonight at Leon's Lounge. We have in the studio with us Hans Frank. Good to have you back. How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Good to see you again, man. What's going on in San Antonio?
Oh, just this and that. Yeah, it's good. It's always good. It's a place I call home, and but it's good to get out too.
How long have you been in San Antonio?
Going on 13 years.
Really?
Yeah.
That long?
Yeah.
You plan on staying there for a while?
I consider it home.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I don't. For some reason, it's very similar to where I grew up. There's a lot of similarities culturally, as odd as that may be.
That was up north. Tell folks where you were from.
Well, it's not in the north. It's the Middle Appalachian region, kind of the mid-south. Yeah, but you don't want to go up there and tell people they're from the north.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was like the tri-state region, southeastern Ohio, eastern Kentucky, western West Virginia.
Cool.
And there weren't a lot of Hispanic people there, although there may be now. But I've always felt at home in San Antonio, and I thought there were a lot of cultural similarities. From little things to big things, like cooking with lard.
Sure.
And fireworks, fighting cocks, grudges, family grudges, big families. This idea that you don't ever just fight one person, you fight somebody's cousin, and it goes on forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You actually won a Dr. Pepper contest.
Yeah.
Tell folks about coming to town and founding and I guess starting the band 10 City Run and how you guys won this singing competition.
Well, I worked in Austin for 2 years in the theater predominantly, and I had a lot of success with a show there, which actually I'm going to be bringing back for I think it's the 20th anniversary of Frontera Fest. That's when it first premiered, so they're having like a best of for the last 20 years of the festival. It was a one-man show, and I won some Austin Critics Awards with it. Did really well for a couple of years, and then kind of stopped doing it. But at some point, I had a band backing me up. When I got done doing the show and we went as far as we could with it, that band became 10 City Run, and we wanted to keep doing it.
Sure.
And we played, we didn't really fit into the frat country scene, as whatever you want to call it, and didn't really even fit into Texas country or alt country. I'm not sure why some of that happened, but anyway, so we were we were pretty edgy, a little bit more traditional, and we played everywhere in the hill country that people wouldn't play, dangerous places, chicken wire places, etc., etc. You know what I mean? We did that for maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, and then we said, we can't. We're just getting ground down by playing at these rough places and just living the life or whatever. So we would try to, one last time, go big or go home. You know what I mean? So we're like, well, let's enter this contest where you win like a contract with Universal South, right? It's under the umbrella of Universal Records.
Sure.
So we did, and then we won, and it was odd because the first thing that we heard from people in the business or in the industry was that we were a band that hadn't paid their dues, which that's all we did. And
Sure.
the reason that we did it was because we were tired of paying dues. But that's my new thing now. I don't believe in paying dues. The people most concerned with paying dues aren't musicians. They're people
Right.
that think musicians should pay dues, and really all that means is
We've never heard of you before.
at some point somebody starts answering your emails when they've decided that you've paid enough dues.
Right.
So you could just skip it all and say, well, I'm not going to wait for people. I'm not going to wait for people to return my call, or I don't know, whatever.
So
I have no interest in keeping it real. Is
Right.
what I'm saying.
you got the contract with Universal, but it was just a 1-year contract. They took you under their wing for a little bit, but it didn't really pan out to a whole lot.
It really could have. I guess the video that we had, which you can still see on YouTube. I mean, the band, I still get royalty checks. It's still got a cult following or whatever, but it premiered on CMT's Top 20 Countdown, our video with Hank Williams Jr. And that was odd to me. That was an odd juxtaposition because, I associate, CMT and those types of programming as being a little bit more kind of, family values country, and we definitely weren't.
Right.
But people really dug it, so I was optimistic that maybe there's a large portion of the demographic that was ready for a change,
Sure.
But the label wrote everything off as a fluke, you know, and then there was just one fluke after another. And they were just hell-bent on writing it off, everything that happened as a fluke, until there were enough flukes, and then they decided, well, it's a tax write-off, you know. So, but at the same time, I mean, it's more complicated than that. I mean, that was really the beginning of the end for the majors.
Sure.
You know, that's when everybody started to bleed over into the red, and their days were numbered. They didn't, you know, and you know, everything was YouTube, or I mean, MySpace and the internet more generally, and digital distribution and iTunes were really sort of starting to, you know, shake up the industry. And a lot of people in the industry didn't really get it, and when they did, it was too late. It was over, you know, for them. So.
And so they're left a hole for you to basically form Glambilly.
Yeah, you know, I played at the last gig that we had was playing. It was September 29th, 2006 at the Grand Ole Opry. We opened for Ray Price, you know, and that was great because it was a, you know, boyhood dream to do that, and so we did that. But I looked out in the audience, and everybody in the audience, you know, Ray Price was like 80 years old, and everybody in the audience was 80, 70, 60 years old. And I thought that the culture which has sustained a need for this music, you know, or this cultural expression is pretty much dying off, not really being replaced. I mean, our society, culturally speaking, has become so homogenized, you know, and that was even before, you know, this onslaught of like reality TV or whatever, you know. So, and I like a lot of alternative country and whatnot. I mean, to me, it's like you have a sense that the people that are the practitioners of that have a appreciation for the music, you know. But I don't know that they have necessarily a more nuanced understanding of the culture that created it, you know. And so it just there wasn't a I didn't want to spend any more time trying to convince people that I was the real deal, because I don't really have any interest in being the real deal or keeping it real. I want to have fun, and that's all that I'm, you know, or paying dues as per somebody's, you know, notion of what that is.
Right.
And that's the thing about things that are quantifiable as roots music. You always have to deal with that baggage, somebody's idea of, usually most often, you know, a non-musician, their idea of what, you know, is quantifiable as, you know, authentic. I mean, who cares, you know?
So you formed the Auslanders, and that kind of morphed into Glambilly, and together there's 3 albums of material there. Is that right?
Let me see. Well, there was the Auslanders, which was with Peter Mitchell, originally Casper Rawls, and then Peter Mitchell, who was the Ernest Tubb guitarist,
right,
and Bobby Natanson, who was the last drummer in 10 City Run. And then that was a CD, which is really hard to get. It's a live CD, and that was one. And then, but I still wanted to be. I really enjoyed that, and it was great, and the band sounded good. But I just wanted to rock out harder and you know, be just dirtier and nastier or whatever.
And that's where Glambilly.
Yeah, right. And even still, you know, initially with Glambilly, Pete played guitar in that, and that was great too. But he started moving on, doing some other stuff with Waylon Payne, which was fine because I, you know, kind of wanted to, like I said, you know, just be a little grittier and just more rock and roll and whatever, you know. So
okay.
Then Dangerous Danny Aaron joined the band, and that's kind of when it became full circle, or when it came full circle in terms of sonically and musically. So I'm sorry, Auslanders 1 album, 3 Glambilly albums, and then the new Hans Franco Gallo CD, which came out a couple months ago,
right, which
is I'm in town promoting tonight. So that's 5 in about 4 years. That's 5 CDs.
Nice.
So
tell us a little bit. What's the difference between Glambilly and your solo stuff?
Well,
what you're doing tonight, the solo acoustic show, or not acoustic, but solo show.
Well, what I missed about what I missed from, you know, being in the band was a couple things. Musically, I miss doing sort of the music that I grew up on. You know, I mean, I grew up on all kinds of music, but the music that's most indicative of the Appalachian region where I grew up, you know, and be sort of more folk traditional music, you know, bluegrass, what have you, and country blues and old-timey piano. That's pretty much what I grew up on, you know, and so
So the solo stuff gets you an outlet to play all day.
Yeah, it's more of a. There's more of. I don't want to say there's more of a cultural connection with this music, with me, because there is for Glambilly too, and just for rock and roll more generally, you know. But it's just a different expression of that, you know. And you know, a lot of people don't like Glambilly, but they like the solo stuff, and vice versa. Right. So I just try to, you know, I'm trying to make my vacation my vocation. So whatever I can do to do that.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Rudyard's Saturday, November 17th.
Yeah.
That's your first time at Rudyard's with the full band?
Yeah, we'll be there with Chelsea Hotel.
Cool.
And, so that'll be a good show.
All right. And then tonight it's over at Leon's Lounge. What time do you start playing tonight?
8 p.m.
All right.
Yeah.
What are you going to play for us first?
I'm going to do